following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby.
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break.
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, August 18th, 2021, Season 17, Episode number 10. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Got Dave Hellman and Nick Eatman with me. We've got a lot of things we're going to talk about today. We'll talk about the Cowboys night practice from Monday night. We'll get some observations from these guys and some things that they may have seen and heard during that night. We'll also talk about the Cowboys' first cut. They get down to 85 players. We'll talk about some of the players that are no longer on the team and a couple interesting cuts around the league that I want to get some opinions from these guys on whether they think the Cowboys should maybe take a look. We'll maybe get a round of I Get Around. We've got a couple players I want to throw at these guys to see what their thoughts are on them. And then we're going to hear from you guys. If you want to call us, the number is 888-855-2297. Again, it is 888-855-2297. And we'll take some calls in the latter half of the show. How's everybody doing today?
Awesome, Derek. Let's frickin' go.
Awesome. Let's get it going. Dave, let's start with you, actually. Mike McCarthy had his daily press conference. What do you have to say?
I probably wouldn't look for Dak Prescott on Saturday night if I were you. And, I mean, that's a pretty logical conclusion, but I appreciate Mike kind of just saying it and saying, it's probably unlikely that a guy who hasn't practiced fully since July 28th won't play in this preseason game. The quarterback who got, just now ramping up his throwing. So, sorry everybody, but I think the next time we see Dak in a game is going to be against Tampa in front of the whole world. So,
okay, Dave, I know you're not worried about that because we know your take on preseason.
Of course, I want everybody to stay healthy, but I understand why that is concerning for somebody. That your first reps in almost a year, 11 months, are going to be a regular season opener against the team that just won the Super Bowl and has everybody back. Yeah, that should be concerning.
Is it concerning for you, Nick?
Yeah, but it would be concerning if he went out and played. This is one of those things, and I've said this before, it doesn't start with Dak. It starts with the offensive line. Are they all going to play? Because it's tiring out there. I mean, I'm not putting Dak out there if the whole line isn't there. So I'm going to start there and see. And I'm not sure if that, who's all going to be playing there, but you can say this rest versus rust is a handful of snaps going to really help him that much? Was it worth the risk? Because then he's going to sit out for 2.5 more weeks. So I'm just not playing him.
I will say, which they shouldn't play him if he's not ready. That's fine. I will say it's not rust for me that bothers me, but I believe in the element of, you probably want to get hit and get up and be like, okay, I'm all right. I got leveled by an NFL defensive lineman and I'm still healthy and my ankle's not broken. I think there's a mental component to that. I would have preferred and he's talked about it. Dak, his first press conference of camp, he was like, I want to get out there and take a hit and just be back in the groove of playing football, play to play. And he's not going to get to do that now until the season opener. I wish he could have gotten that out of the way. But as far as rust, I don't really worry about that.
This brings up a little bit of a bigger topic, and you have something, Nick?
Well, that is rust. But everything you just said.
I don't think of that as rust. I think it's just.
What is it then? I mean, it seems like it's kind of the same thing. Everything you wanted him to kind of get is to probably.
Rust to me implies that his timing with his receivers is off, and he just they're not on the same page. I don't worry about, or the way that he's reading what the defense is doing because he hasn't done it in so long. I don't worry about that. I just think it's like getting into a swimming pool, just acclimating to the temperature of the water. I don't know. I don't think of that as rust. Maybe it is.
Either way, I mean, I think we're kind of saying the same thing. You just want him to you don't want it the first time to get back in it going up against the Bucs, but that is what it's going to be, and everything's risk reward. I mean, is it worth it? Romo wanted that in 2016. Yep. Romo, remember how much he had missed in 2015. He needed those plays until his back got crunched over in Seattle, and then that changed the franchise. maybe for the better. And because Dak came in and Zeke and that whole year was what it was. But I mean, it's the same concept. It was Romo needed a few snaps, but he didn't know how to just not play the game right. Not to play that preseason game. And is Dak going to take off? I'll never forget.
He's going to play football. 4th
preseason game against Houston one year. It was like 93, 94, playing I think in the Astrodome or the Alamo Dome, and he flipped over. I think it was. He flipped over the top for a touchdown. It had to be in 92 or 93 because Jimmy was the coach, and it was a touchdown, and he flipped over the top. Troy Aikman.
4th preseason game.
4th preseason game, and he comes over, and everyone's congratulating him except Jimmy. And he was like, "You're an idiot. You're stupid." And we might have thrown in some other words in there, like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Playing football," But that's what it is. So if Dak's going to be that way, well, then let's go sunflower seeds.
I do think this brings up a little bit of a bigger topic, though. When Mike McCarthy talked about the fact that the 3rd preseason game, which will be the 4th preseason game for the Cowboys because they had a Hall of Fame game, he said that game is going to be for the guys trying to make the team. I heard this morning when I was on my drive in, they were talking about the Giants, and it made me think about the juxtaposition. They actually are looking at the 3rd preseason game as their dress rehearsal. They're thinking of it as that's our ramp up to the season. So we'll probably start our starters and have them play a quarter or two so that they work into that following, because you do have that week in between the final preseason game and the beginning of the season. They're thinking that's more of a ramp up. Which do you think could be a better strategy for a team?
Well,
for this team?
The way they're doing it, because we've got to remember the Giants don't play Thursday night like the Cowboys do. The Giants can do that, and they still get 15 to 16 days before they play their next game. And I'm not saying it's just a short turnaround, but it's 10 days. I think the Cowboys are the only Sunday preseason game on August 29th because of the NFL Network. It just doesn't seem right, and there's no reason to complain about it or all that. But it's just they are the last preseason game, and they are the first.
They were the first preseason game too,
and they were the first one,
right?
And that's what this star right here that I'm pointing to. That's what this star is all about. That's what Jason Garrett says. It comes with the dinner, but it's different. It's got to be different for other teams because McCarthy's trying to get them ready for the September 9th game. So that's probably why he's doing it this way this year.
Yeah. That's a good question, and I don't have a great answer to it. I'll just say, if you're going to do that, I hope you make sure the other team is planning on doing that the same way. Because if the Giants are sending their starters out against somebody who's treating it like, fringe roster guys, that's stupid. I would never do that. Last night's Hard Knocks episode was a great example why, if you watched it, a phenomenal story about Azur Kamara. But he's back at the depth chart. He's trying to make things happen, and he clipped Garrett Gilbert twice. Trying to make a play.
He's trying to make the team.
Not knowing the ins and outs of practice. Not necessarily worried about the long term. He's worried about making the team, and they had to yell at him. They're like, "Don't touch the quarterback, my guy." And you got a team full of guys like that playing a lot of times in the finale game. It's a messy game. You've watched them. You've watched plenty of them. It's awful. It's terrible. So I wouldn't want to send the guys I'm counting on to win me games out against guys like that.
Yeah, and also to clarify that, obviously it's a game, so those guys, you're going to go full tilt. But just like in practice where Kamara went a little too much and hit Gilbert on the arm, in a game you might go too far and have a penalty, like a roughing the passer penalty or something like that. Even though you're allowed to hit and tackle and do everything, but you don't want that. You don't want a guy's agenda to try to make the team going up, because he's going to bend the rules and he's going to do whatever it takes for him to be noticed. So, yeah, and I do think the coaches do talk about it. I do think Cowboys and Jaguars have talked about it. Because I believe at one point Jacksonville was supposed to be the dress rehearsal, and it may have just been like, what is Jacksonville trying to do? What Cowboys want to do injury wise? So I think somebody asked me this question: is it what their plan is? And I think it's got to be a year to year thing. Yeah, I would imagine next year could be totally different on 3 preseason games.
Well, we're also in uncharted territory, right? Mm-hmm. This is the first time that teams are going to have, other than the Cowboys and Steelers, are going to have 3 preseason games. And it's the first time everybody's going to have 17 regular season games. So I also wonder, the more regular season games they add to this, how much does week 1 really – and I know every game matters, but I wonder how much, getting off to that hot start really matters if it can the month of September, those first 2 to 3 games. Can those be games where you do kind of work your starters into a little bit more of a lather rather than having to figure that out in the preseason because you've got 17 games, or if it goes to 18 or whatever the case might be, right?
I think that's a byproduct of the way the league is right now, which, I mean, I'm in favor of. It's a more health-conscious, player-friendly league, but just in general, I think for a few years now, like September's kind of ugly while these teams get there. I mean, you used to practice twice a day and like leave your starters in for a lot of your preseason games. Now you don't. I mean, so if this is the dress rehearsal on Saturday, like Amari Cooper's going to go into the season probably with 10 reps under his belt. Dak will have none.
Tank will have none.
Yeah. I think that's the new norm, is playing your way into game shape over the course of the first 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think the best way to say it is what Dave said, is it's a byproduct. Is it ideal? And you're never going to get a coach, scout, player to say, well, we got a lot of these games. This isn't like load management type stuff like the NBA, but it is what it is. I mean, you're gonna just say, well, we don't have the other option. So if we're not 100% ready, then it is what it is. We hope to win these games, but we all think that we're going to be in better, in tune with the team in October than we will be in September, just because of the way the NFLPA and the NFL has structured it.
All right, let's jump into Cowboys night. Cowboys have their annual event last Monday night.
Real quickly, that spiraled. But so Amari Cooper is expected to play Saturday. Okay. Just anybody that was curious. And it sounds like there's going to be a new kicker punter in camp as well. I think Hunter Nicewander's
kicker or punter or both.
Kicker punter. He's going to
one guy.
Hunter Nicewander, same thing. He's apparently banged up, so look for them to sign a guy by the name of Liram Hajrullahu. He's Canadian. He's been in the CFL for a long time.
Are you guys worried about the kicking position? I mean, the kicker punter, like both. And maybe it's just me, but the fact that the kicker has been hurt throughout all this time, it does worry me a little bit, just because of his age and because, a couple years ago he was injured and he didn't have a great season, and I'm just a little bit worried. Are you guys at all?
I don't think those are the same thing. He had a groin that year that lingered with him all year, and this year he had back surgery months ago, and he was kicking in Arizona. He kicked for like a half hour and he made them all. I was like, okay, you look fine to me.
If I was the 53rd guy on the roster, I'd be worried about it. No one knows who that is. But
they might have to always
because the thing about it is that you get to Tuesday of the game. Well, I'll say Tuesday. It's a Thursday game, but I mean, if you get to the week of the game, 4, 5, 6 days before the Tampa Bay game, and Zuerlein's not 100%, then you're gonna end up you're gonna get somebody else, and you're gonna go to the waiver wire, and you're gonna get who do we have 2 years ago? He made every kick. I forgot his name.
Maher?
No, after that. He's everybody in the league.
Yeah.
He's been in every place in the league, even New England.
Kai Forbath?
There
we go.
And
he's still out there somehow?
Well, probably.
He's still a free agent.
I think he's somewhere.
Well, I mean, you get a guy like that, and he, they don't have to learn the offense or anything. They come in and they kick. But the problem is you're gonna have to cut a player, on your team just to get him in the roster. So I'm not 100% worried about it.
He's not on a team.
I thought somebody had mentioned he was a free agent.
Somebody like that. He'll do a tryout.
Bring him back. Kai, come back.
All right, let's jump in. I do want to talk about the Cowboys night. Want to get some observations from you guys. Let's start with Amari Cooper. Dave, you just mentioned he's expected to play this week. He did return to practice on Monday. What did you guys see from him? How much was he used?
I saw a lot more than I expected to from a guy who hadn't done anything. Typically that's a very slow process. DeMarcus Lawrence did individuals for 15 minutes and then ran back to get treatment. Amari he went through individuals. I actually asked him this. I was like, what was their plan for you? Because I wasn't expecting you to see team. And he was like, oh, it was up to me, which I feel like it's not usually that. Like Dak Prescott's a perfect example. Yeah. Like they tell you what they want you to do. But Amari said he went through individuals and was like, I feel good. I want to do some team. So he did. And he looked like Amari. I don't know. There's nothing super flashy about his game, but he caught a slant over the middle, and you can kind of tell, even though they're not tackling, that I was like, oh, that would have gone for 60 yards. You can just tell. Yeah. And so he had one nice catch and run, and I think he got 5 reps, and then he was like, okay, now I'm done. So he's going to do a little bit more today. with an eye on playing, 10 or so snaps against Houston. So all systems go.
Malik Hooker.
I mean, Johnny on the spot for an interception there.
Perfect,
I
right?
like it. Yeah. Now the best part about it was, I mean, the ball didn't just float up for no reason. I mean, Nashawn Wright did a nice job there at the goal line and tip it up. But that's the kind of, you want your safety to be in position to make plays, and I thought he did a nice job there. He said something interesting in his press conference, though, yesterday. That he said that, he talked about him and Kazee. They both, the Achilles boys or whatever. They're going through the same injury. He said, we're pretty much the same player, which sounds good until then you're like, okay, can the same player with the same injury and the same body type sort of be, both have roles?
And both veterans.
They're both veterans.
It's not like a young guy you're developing.
They're both guys that probably aren't going to have a huge special teams workload.
Yeah, Malik Hooker made it clear he hasn't done anything on special teams ever. So I just wonder if both those. I mean, I think you keep them both. I'm not saying you don't. I just wonder, can they be?
I've been wondering that since the day Hooker got here. I was just like, this feels redundant. And I'm not trying to cut either one of them either, but when you talk about roster building, they do the same job. They are they're the same type of player. They're not. You probably don't want them playing a ton of strong. They're not going to play a ton of special teams.
So
it's interesting.
Are these two guys you think we may get into the season and the Cowboys could maybe use them interchangeably, rotate them? I mean, you don't typically see safeties rotating in and out of the lineup, but do you think that might be the case here?
Well, I mean, like what he's saying, though, what we're both saying is that it's going to hurt the roster somehow because do you want those two guys over Darian Thompson? Sure. But Darian Thompson's going to help you on special teams. Your backup safety there is going to have to do something, and neither one of those two guys can do it, which I think what will end up happening is your starting strong safety is going to do it. Donovan Wilson will be a starting safety that will also play special teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think you could do that. They will never say this yet, but McQuamu's not getting cut.
Right.
If that's how we say his name.
Mukwamu. You think that's just foregone? He's on?
I do. I think they have something here with him. A cornerback who plays safety. He's a coverage safety.
I'm all in favor of that, but I mean, now we got problems in terms of math because you got Hooker, you got again these two free safeties that don't do much of else. Donovan 3. Darian Thompson is one of John Fossil's guys. Not saying that definitely guarantees him a job, but it's something to consider. And now Mukwamu gives you 5. And that's on top of a cornerback situation where I guess Reggie Robinson going to IR yesterday helps with that, but you still probably want to keep 6 corners.
Well, don't you think part of the issue here is that, I mean, you guys just talked about KZ and Hooker being the same player. They're also both older. Are you going to let a younger guy who you think could develop in Mukwamu go for the purposes of having these older guys that may only be here a year or two?
There you go. Yeah. I mean, part of the appeal of a rookie is that they're on a 4-year deal. I get that.
A cheap 4-year deal.
I don't know. I don't have an answer. Although, the money that KZ and Hooker have been given is negligible.
Yeah.
But they're short-term guys, I would think. I don't think of them as futures for the Cowboys. I think of them as short-term guys.
Fossil's going to get 2 of the 3 when it comes to defensive backs that are special teams guys. I don't think he's going to get all of them. I think he'll get Thompson or Kennedy, which is really turning into more than just a special teams guy, and Goodwin, and who he called the ace. So
I made that joke the other day, and I get it. The special teams is important, and it's something you got to consider in putting a 53 together. But if I were McCarthy and Will and Stephen Jones, I'd be like, "You're getting Goodwin, so that's your guy already." I mean, we'll give you Darian if you want him, or we'll give you Luke Gifford. You're getting Dorrance Armstrong, who you love as well. Like, figure the rest of it out.
You have to. That's what. Yeah.
We drafted 11 guys. Like Jabril Cox can do whatever it is that you're convinced somebody else, like Darian. I'm not trying to fire Darian Thompson, but surely somebody can do his job and be more versatile.
Yeah, I don't think Darian Thompson gets a job here as a backup just because he can play special teams, because there are better special teams players that are going to be like your ace, right?
I'm going to find out, because Rich Bisaccia used to get whatever the hell he wanted. Like, there were 7 of those guys on the team when he was here. And it was like, we used to talk about it on this show. We were like, how many of these guys do you need? Like, yeah. And I would rather have Malik Hooker, even if he's not doing anything, just, you know what I mean, than that, in my opinion.
Until week 1, they have a return for a touchdown against the Cowboys, and then it's kind of like, maybe we need some of those guys back.
They're not going to lose to the Bucs because somebody didn't make a special teams tackle.
Watch that.
Quote me. Yeah, no, quote me.
Yeah, hold on to that clip for us. Yeah. Let's just see how it goes. Hold on to that clip. Hold on to that clip. All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the 85 cut. Cowboys get down 85 with the rest of the league. There's some guys that got cut from the Cowboys, but also a couple guys that got cut from some other teams that I want to throw out and get some opinions on. We'll talk about that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing: the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Back to the break.
Dallas Cowboys training camp presented by American Airlines is back at the Star in Frisco. Watch the Cowboys practice on August 20th, 27th, and 28th inside Ford Center at the Star. Admission and parking are free. Visit thestarinfrisco.com for details.
Welcome back to the second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. And real quick, we got to get to the phone lines because they say we got a call from out of the country, and that costs a lot of money. So let's go straight to the phone lines. We got a call from someone named, I think it's Ambar.
Well, you know, it's cheap for me. I got money. I can call anywhere around the
Hey, hold on. You just had a baby. There's no such thing as having money ever again. That baby's going to take all of your money.
Good point.
Well, you got to have a better mentality than that. You got to think rich. I got money.
Think rich.
I got abundance everywhere.
Welcome to the show, Ambar Garcia. We miss you. How's everything going?
Good. Tired, but good and happy. Honestly, just calling for one thing for you guys.
What's that?
It's a very simple question.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Very general. Are we actually... Because, you know, I'm not... it's hard for me to keep up with what's going on right now and kind of taking care of a baby at the same time. But I just want to know, are we actually getting better or not? And when I get back to work, am I walking into excitement and happiness, or am I walking into disappointment in one of those seasons again? So that's what I want to know from you guys.
AG, just as usual, just wants us to predict the future. Some things don't change.
It's simple.
Well, when is that going to start though? Like, what is it?
When do you think we'll see you?
Is it right after the Bucs game? Because I don't know about that one. If that's when you start, I'd say probably not.
Let's say mid-October.
Oh yeah.
Okay, mid-October. Will things be good?
5-1.
Oh,
I'm completely talking out of my butt right now.
I was gonna say, if Dave is saying that, wow,
we'll see.
Yeah, I think the schedule, we think, and you never know what teams are going to be, but we think the schedule is going to be favorable for them to compete, maybe win these games, and it gets a little tougher later on, we think.
AG, it'll be happy and positive just because you're back, regardless of what the Cowboys are doing.
Well, I don't know about that. I heard you guys talking. I turned on the show right when you guys were talking about easing in players. I didn't hear exactly who you were talking about specifically, but I'm like, man, who do we got to ease into this season? I mean, is that going to be slowing down the Cowboys? Is it going to be one of those times again where we're like, oh, here's a slow start, but then kind of get going later down the season, but then, hey, it's kind of too late, actually. So
it's too late.
Never mind. So I want to have a better idea of what I'm going back to work to, what I'm getting into this year with the Cowboys.
Well, we know it won't be 8-8 season.
Yeah, we know that.
It could be 8-8-1. It could be 8-9, 9-8. I don't know. I think it's going to be I'd say it's going to be better than that, but
optimism just dripping from this show right now.
I know. The one thing I think I know.
Well, Dak hasn't thrown a pass in forever.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I think I know is that the defense won't be worse. So I think if that gives you any hope, I don't think they'll be worse than they were last year. So there's something to that.
They've been pretty good.
That's what I'm saying.
In these two
I don't think they'll be worse. I think
they'll
they'll be a better defense, and so maybe that's a reason for optimism. We'll see.
Yeah, you're gonna like Dan Quinn, AG.
Why is that?
He's got some stuff to him.
He's the smoothest cusser I've ever heard. He just throws in, and you're looking around and you're like, it's kind of like Will Ferrell in that old school movie at the wedding when he's like, did he just cuss? Did he just say something? You're like, yeah, he does. He doesn't. He's awesome.
Yeah, he slips it right past you. It's not with he didn't say it with oomph. He just kind of says it, and before you know, it's just rolled off the tongue.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick.
I saw him.
Go ahead.
On the show, just real quick. I saw him when I was watching Hard Knocks. I saw him watching the game from upstairs on the booth. Do you guys think that's actually going to be beneficial, or do you think it's better for him to be on the ground, on the field with the players?
I personally think it's better for coordinators to be up top to see, but it's hard to get a coach that wants to get in the mix there. He wants to be down there, wants to talk to the players. We have seen on Hard Knocks that he'll get them on the phone and he'll communicate with them. But it is one of those things. And I have friends that coach in the high school ranks, and that they say, yeah, you see a lot more up there. We know that you see better, but they want to be able to kind of talk to the players, motivate, and do all that. But if they're willing to take a step back, like it sounds like he is, he'll probably see more and be a better coach from up top.
You do the things that make you worth your paycheck from the booth, in my opinion. I don't know jack about football compared to Dan Quinn, but we watch these Frisco practices in the booth as opposed to the sideline. It's like watching a completely different sport.
It is.
You're like, oh, okay, here's the rotations, what the safety's doing, and now put real coaching football knowledge into that. Get Leon Lett to smack guys on the ass and motivate them. Like, anybody can do that. I watch the sidelines during games, and I'm like, half these guys are just talking to hear themselves talk, honestly. Like, give me the guy that's in the booth making the calls and the adjustments. That's what's important.
And if something's really that important to talk about, you can always get him on the phone. And you can
Dan
talk to
did
him.
it with Micah at the Hall of Fame game.
It was that the last night's Hard Knocks or the night before? Or the first episode? Because we've seen him in the booth.
On the phone with Micah?
Yeah, no, with what she was saying that you saw him in the booth.
That was on the first episode when he was talking to
Micah.
Parsons.
Then
that's what it led me to think. I'm like, okay, communication-wise, I mean, are you going to be trying to get guys on the phone? Hey, real quick, jump on the phone. Or obviously talk to other coaches to transmit the message. But I thought it was kind of interesting, and it led me to wonder, like, okay, which way is actually better? Because it has its disadvantages and advantages at the same time, but which one kind of outweighs the other, you know?
Yeah. We had a big debate on there was people like in our office this morning. Some people did not like last night's episode of Hard Knocks, and some people thought it was way better than the first one. It was. I know Dave and I don't agree with that. I thought last night's was not the best one. Did you see that one yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I'll see it today. I have it on the TV.
Yeah.
You got better stuff to do.
I was going to say, she's got more important things to do.
I had a baby to put to sleep and do all that.
Right. Real quick, though, before you go, I have to let everybody know and publicly congratulate you on another Emmy win. Like, this girl's just racking up Emmy hardware. And this time it was for a documentary, which you hadn't done one for us before. But you did a phenomenal job on that story on Connor Williams. And you were recognized by your peers winning an Emmy. I'm very, very proud of you, Amber.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yep, that was a good one.
Yeah,
for sure. And I was gonna see Connor here today. I was probably mentioning it to him, but knowing Connor, he'll be like, "Cool."
Right. Yeah, we do need to mention that to him, let him know, because he put in a lot of time with you to get that done too. So make sure he knows it was Emmy winning.
Yeah, his family is going to be happy. I haven't told him yet, but his family is going to probably throw a party for him or something.
Yeah, got a great family, fun family. All right, Amber, we're going to let you go, get back to the little man. But it's good to hear from you, and don't be a stranger. If you hear something on the air, if Dave says something or Nick says something, you need to smack them around, then give us a call and jump in. Smack them around.
Fair.
Well, thank you guys for your time today and allowing me to kind of chit-chat with you a little bit.
All right.
It's been a while.
We miss you. We'll see you later.
Hurry back.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. If, by the way, we can take other calls as well. 888-855-2297 is the number. Real quick, though, let's get to the cuts. Cowboys get down to 85. Who got cut? And then let everybody know kind of when is the next cut? How does this all work from the standpoint of the cuts getting down to the final roster?
Tuesday, they cut to 85 yesterday. Next Tuesday, cut to 80. The next Tuesday, 53.
There we go.
So no longer, and Dave will appreciate this more than anybody else, no longer are we cutting down the roster in the middle of LSU's season opener.
On Labor Day weekend.
It's the worst day of the year.
It's the best day of the year / you
sucks.
hate that. Well, you just hate that part.
It's Christmas for anybody that likes college football, and you spend the whole time sort of glancing at your phone, working on stories, not feeling relaxed. So
I'll be honest, I feel for you guys every year on that day because inevitably I'll be somewhere with my family. We'll be somewhere and we're doing something, and I'll be just checking my phone, and I'm seeing it, but you guys are having to do the work. Yeah. And so every year I feel for you. I'm like, man, this sucks.
Not
this
really
year.
Sucks. Let's go.
August 31st is when they cut to 53, but they cut 5 yesterday. Basically, it's just roster reduction. You don't have to necessarily cut. You just get them off the roster.
And they only actually cut 2 guys.
2 guys, Kyron Brown and Brennan Eagles. Texas. He just didn't. He
pretty much did what he did at Texas.
Yeah, he wasn't like a star
no,
at
and
Texas, right?
honestly, Texas when he came into Texas, he was there was a lot of attention on him. Like he was a recruit that they really wanted, and so everybody had really high expectations for him, and he just never quite got there. He'd have a game here or there where it was pretty good. But most of the time, he was just kind of like you'd get through a game, you'd be like, did he do anything? Did he have a catch? It's that kind of thing where it just wasn't consistent.
Well, I'm not trying to take shots, but I feel like that's been a thing. Like getting the talent to Austin has not been the problem recently.
I agree. So. And so that's always the question of coaching. Not want to get into that.
He never had a shot here, and I'll tell you why. We have a guy, a camera operator, videographer, Alex Lilly, does a lot. Down there. Shot a lot at training camp. And he's a big UT fan.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Big UT fan.
He just went up a notch in my book, so.
Okay. And he was shooting, one of the plays, and he made a catch and for a touchdown. And he kind of yelled out. He's like, "Go Eagles!" And I'm like, "Yeah, see, you can't."
That's what he's.
Yeah. I was like, "I'll see." First of all, cheering and shooting at the same time is kind of weird. But "Go Eagles" is really not something that is said around here. So. Yeah,
that's one you definitely want to stay away from.
He had an uphill battle. Eagles with the Cowboys was going to be a tough one anyway.
I get enough random tweets from people like, Eagleton, really? I'm like, seriously? Like, really? Is that what we're doing?
I've never even thought that.
But no, Eagles is just not a word Cowboys fans like to say or hear or even read, I guess. All right, let's jump in. Let's talk a little bit more about a couple guys around the league that got cut. There were two names that jumped out to me.
All right, we're burying the lead here. We just did 5 minutes on Brennan Eagles, and we're not going to talk about the 4th-round cornerback being put down for the year?
Has a toe
Well, but
injury.
he wasn't. Okay, let me ask you.
Reggie Robinson.
If Reggie Robinson were not hurt, is Reggie Robinson making this team?
No.
Okay, so the fact he just got an extra year, in my opinion. He got an extra year, so that's a good thing, right?
It's newsworthy. Fourth round picks make the team here, so it's interesting to think he couldn't get on the field last year. He wasn't doing enough to make the team this year, and it's not the end of the world. It is just curious though. This team is usually better at drafting than that, or something. Is the guy not a fit? Were they wrong about him? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing.
Fortunately, we don't have to answer that right now because he'll be back next year. That's when you go to IR during training camp. You're done. Like, you can't come back, but you retain Reggie's rights. So I mean, he'll be here next year, but that's an inauspicious start to his career.
But you gotta. What?
I said, who else did that? Shawo, Alana Lua?
Yeah, they put Shawo down for the year.
Two guys
as well.
out for the year right now. You put them on IR right now, they're, like you said, out for the year. No, let's go back to Reggie.
But I think you got to factor in the fact that the Cowboys came back this year. They got him in the 4th round last year, but they came back this year and got a 2nd and 3rd round cornerbacks, right? So those are higher picks than him, and they played like it. So
but that's his point. If they come back next year and get a 1st-round corner and a 2nd-round corner, what is that going to show you about what they think of Nashawn Wright or Kelvin Joseph?
I get that, but also I think that this is where you start getting that rub between coaching and scouting, because you're talking about a 4th-round pick that spent most of his rookie year playing safety. So did he get a fair chance to really be able to develop and compete at cornerback? Like, those are the questions that you have to ask when you start saying, hey, before you would just say that they just didn't do a good job from the standpoint of drafting.
Okay. I mean, every 4th round picks regularly become meaningful contributors to this team in my time working here. Mm-hmm. And Reggie's going to be going into year 3 without, and I'm really not blaming him, honestly. I haven't talked to him. I've never talked to Reggie Robinson thanks to COVID. But if I were him, I'd probably be pretty pissed about the way my career has shaken out to this point. I'm not dogging him. It's weird and interesting. This is not the trajectory that we see for 4th round picks. We're very excited about Jabril Cox. Anthony Hitchens is the name that I bring up all the time. Dak Prescott. If you're a 4th round pick, if you're a 4th round pick, you're probably Dorrance Armstrong, not setting the world on fire, but a quality member of this roster. Mm-hmm. Dalton Schultz. If you're drafted in the 4th round, I have a decent amount of expectations for you. And Reggie Robinson is high up on the list of guys that just haven't hit that mark yet. Charles Tapper is another one that comes to mind. I mean, it does happen. I still think it's worth noting.
Okay.
That's all.
And duly noted. I think that's a good point. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to take our final. Oh, no, actually, before we take our break, I did want to real quickly get your opinions because I got some messages on this. Josh Rosen, quarterback, he was with the San Francisco 49ers, was waived yesterday. Because the Cowboys have had issues at backup quarterback, lots of question marks there. Do you think that's one that maybe the Cowboys should just take a look at?
Yeah, and I say this as I loved Josh Rosen. I loved his cockiness. I think he had a very pro-ready type of game in that draft. I'm looking back at it I would have drafted Josh Rosen before Josh Allen for sure.
Wow.
Josh Allen was pure projection based on absurd, athleticism, which it looks like it's working out. You're going to be wrong about guys if you talk about the draft long enough.
And fit matters too, right?
Yeah.
I think fit matters, and maybe he got the right fit and Rosen hasn't.
The point is, I liked Rosen a lot, but it's been 4 teams by now. And I know, he's been in a different system all this time. I get that. He's done all these different things. He hasn't had a chance to get comfortable, but I don't know. If you're that good, at some point, shouldn't your talent shine through? I mean, he got to work with Tom Brady for a year. He got to start games for the Dolphins. I know they didn't have a lot of talent around him, but you should have seen something that made somebody kind of sit up and say, "Oh, okay." And Garrett's been here for a year. He's went through the whole offseason install. So Rosen will be back right where he's always been if he comes here, just learning a new thing on the fly, trying to make it work. And I doubt he can. I think Garrett Gilbert is probably better than him right now.
And that's kind of what I was pointing out. I guess in the column that I wrote that we mentioned is that you're going to have names that you like or that you've heard of or were drafted better, but There's a reason why they're available. And are they going to come in and be, better than what you've got and understand, understand the offense enough that if something were to happen to Dak, this guy's going to be ready. This guy's going to be, he's not going to be as ready as Garrett Gilbert. So you have to factor that part into it as well. Like whoever is got to have way more talent, got to have more upside, and got to be ready to play. That's just very rare to find that right now. Now, he had some pretty decent guys ahead of him. Like you understand why he got cut in San Francisco because all those guys, Garoppolo, the guy they drafted, then it was C.J. Beathard.
Yeah.
He's been around,
Yeah.
He understands the system obviously a lot more too. So you knew that was probably going to happen, but
at this point I think
no.
it's going to take a guy who has started and won significant games in the league to come available for me to think that they would make a move. Like, people talk about Chicago because it's the most obvious one. I mean, there's a good chance that a guy with some serious skins on the wall will be available at some point. Whether, I guess theoretically it could even be Dalton. Like if Fields just keeps kicking ass. I mean, I don't pay attention to what the Bears are doing, but I think it would have to be a guy like that, not Josh Rosen.
All right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we got some more calls from you guys. We got Tony in Atlanta. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. Before you can park yourself in front of the game, park yourself in a John Deere and power through your chores. Our Land Run package is a 1025R, 25 horsepower tractor with a loader, rotary cutter, and a box blade for $229 a month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay, no surprises. So don't miss another kickoff.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's get to work.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to the break.
All right, we told you how you could watch the Cowboys at the Star here in Frisco. You can also do the same at AT&T Stadium when the game starts. A limited number of single-game, standing-room-only tickets are on sale now. Get yours today, DallasCowboys.com/tickets.
Let's go. Welcome back to the final segment of the break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We got a phone call. Tony from Atlanta. Tony, what up?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all?
Hey,
how you
man,
doing, man?
Good.
Man, I'm great, man. Good to hear y'all. Hey, 2 quick questions. One, with the schedule being out and the home and road games and everything announced, do we already know, it hasn't been announced, what the uniforms are going to be, blue, white, that type thing, the bad luck blues and all that? That's my first question. Second question, with all the talk about CeeDee Lamb and how great his camp has been and, Cooper missing all this time and people talking about Lamb's ascension, I want to just kind of ask you all and get you all's thoughts on what exactly is a number one receiver. We hear the term thrown around a lot, number one, but what exactly really is a number one receiver? Is it the best receiver on the team? Is it just an elite receiver? What are you guys' thoughts on that? Thank you.
All right, thanks for the call.
To me, it's the guy that you absolutely count on every week, and you know he's going to get doubled. You know that he'll be a focal point of the defense, but he fights through that and he makes plays. He can go and make plays. It doesn't. He can be an outside guy, inside, whatever. But number one receiver is the guy that will shine above the amount of coverage that he'll get, and he continues to consistently make plays. That's my view of a number one.
I'll actually you kind of touched on it there, but I look at it more from when you go into every week. Who is the opponent saying that's who we got to pay the most attention to? Who affects the game in that way from the standpoint of they're going to get the attention and it creates opportunities for other guys? Now, the byproduct, the reason why that happens is because, as you said, they always are making plays, so defenses have to figure out how to control them, how to manage them, how to maybe stop them. But I think it's really about who is the other team saying is their top offensive receiver weapon that we got to take away. And if whoever that is, that to me is who the number one receiver is.
Yeah, I mean, you can get all kinds of into the weeds with that because, does your number one have to be an X receiver, like a guy that's out on the boundary? I think in most cases it is, but I don't think it has to be. A guy like Antonio Brown is famous for moving all over the place. Mm-hmm. Going back to your point, I mean, is Tyreek Hill's Kansas City's number one? Is he the guy you have to take away, or is it Kelsey? I think you could make an argument either way. Yeah. When you say that to me, I just think that means, to Nick's point, the game plan starts with taking him away. Mm-hmm. That's what, and it could be anybody really.
So let's answer the question he's really asking.
Is Lamb their number one?
Who's the number one?
It's still team? Amari for me.
It's Amari until CD has a season where he is truly. It's I'll tell you this. I do expect that to happen this year, and I've said that on another episode that we've had.
Yeah,
go ahead, Dave.
A lot of people do, and it's hard to argue with them seeing what CD's done, and the vast majority of it has been on the boundary. By the way, I mean he's been playing outside because Amari's wasn't. Yeah. No, but we know he can do all of that in the slot. So you add all that together. I understand the hype, but like I've said it before, I think Amari Cooper, ironically, for being a Dallas Cowboy, I think he's a little bit slept on. I'm not saying he's not top 5, but I think he's a lot better than a lot of people want to give him credit for.
Honestly, I don't think it has to be an either or. I don't think just because CD becomes the top person that defenses want to take away or feel like they need to take away means that Amari falls off and isn't a good player anymore. I look at, and I compare this to Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt in St. Louis. Isaac Bruce had been the guy. Torrey Holt came along and became the guy. It didn't mean that Isaac Bruce fell off. He just went into the Hall of Fame. He was still a very, very good, a very, very productive receiver. But Torrey Holt was making the plays that were like, holy crap, did he just do that, right? And I think that's what's going to happen here.
It's a good problem to have. And
it absolutely is.
I'm already annoyed. We're going to be here Mondays after one of them blows up and the other one has a pedestrian game and everybody's for some reason mad about it. I'm already annoyed.
You know the reason. It's not for some reason.
Because money?
No, it's because they drafted him on their fantasy football team. Because they're a Cowboy fan and they think Michael Gallup's going to have a big year, so they put him in the 4th round or 5th round or whatever, and he's going to have 2 catches for 24 yards, and he's going to be okay with it because maybe they won the game. But I'm just saying that'll happen. That's why when I got asked this morning on a show about will CD lead the team in catches, yards, and touchdowns. And, fact or fiction. And I was like, I just can't go there. I can't go there on all 3 because that's not the way the Cowboys want to play.
Yeah.
They don't want to play that way.
Yeah.
They want Zeke to be running for 1,500 yards and run out the clock. So I just don't. I think Amari will end up maybe getting more yards. I could see CD leading the team in touchdowns.
Yep.
I think he's going to be the best red zone threat they've got.
Yep.
Garrett Gilbert, hey, he's smart enough to. They all the backups are. If it was a mojo moment or 4th and 8 or whatever in practice, throw it up to CD. He'll make the play.
Yep.
As far as the other question,
I totally forgot it.
The uniforms.
The Cowboys, they have not put out their schedule, which that's. I feel
schedule of uniforms.
Well, not really, but I feel guilty because I've run into Mike McCord and Bucky a million times since camp started, and I could have asked them and just slipped my mind. But it's funny because you can kind of piece some of this stuff together because other teams put theirs out. So we know Dallas will be wearing blue when they host Denver because Denver announced that they're wearing white. So, and then the Giants are wearing their homes. So both Giants games, the Cowboys will be in white. If that means anything to you, but as far as a full schedule of what Dallas is going to be wearing,
I bet you can bet on the Tampa game them wearing white.
You think?
Yeah, just teams like to do that, and it's going to be hot. They want to put their team in navy. Now they usually do that when it's sunny.
No, you're saying Tampa will be wearing white.
Did I not say that? Tampa will be wearing white.
Did you just say that against Denver, that Denver's
wearing their whites into AT&T?
So that means the Cowboys.
I thought the home team gets to pick the uniform.
They do. The Cowboys know. They know exactly what they're doing. Okay, we just don't know it.
Yeah.
That means once they've told everybody what's going on, then Denver puts it out what they're going to be wearing. The Cowboys have made that decision.
I understand. I'm saying, isn't it curious that the Cowboys chose blue for a home game? They typically choose white for home games, right? Am I missing something?
I don't know. They wore blue like 6 times a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I thought in most instances it was because they were in road situations where.
They've had a few games where they've worn blue, and they're not always on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
it was 8 games a few years ago.
Yeah.
So it happens. They're slowly getting away from that a little bit.
From the white.
It's their best uniform.
They course
the blue is or the white?
The blue, I think.
As far you're opening a can of worms, but I actually agree with you. I think the blue looks the blue actually looks the best. But yes, he's opening a.
They course
can
corrected last year though. Like they wore white like 14 times last year.
And they fixed the pants. They go with the white jerseys.
I'm sorry, I
microphones pick up whispers too. You know,
I'm just saying, like the pants are more bluish now. They're kind of that ice blue.
I don't care.
Looks good.
The white uniform is iconic.
Yeah,
but the blue looks really good too, and it's not bad luck. LSU's the same. Like LSU always wears white. They wear white at home. It's their thing, and fans flip.
You got great colors like purple and gold. You need to wear your colors. I think
our fans hate it when LSU wears purple because it's bad juju. I'm like, no, they lost games when they wore purple because they sucked.
Nothing bad ever happened to me when I was wearing purple and gold.
Okay, just say what you want to say.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just making a point.
Fraternity.
It's a point.
Okay,
it's a point.
You're just bouncing around.
If the team is good,
the Cowboys lost games in the '80s because they wore blue because they went into Philly and
bad.
lost. No, they weren't bad. The road. It's tougher to win on the road than at home. So they're like, man, we were 8-0 in white, and we were only 4-4 in blue. It's because you're on the road.
But the point is, in the '90s when they were rolling, how many times they lose in blue? Probably not as many. I'm just saying, like when you're a great team, it doesn't really matter.
They lost.
The players.
They lost the Eagles. They lost the Redskins. The year they won the Super Bowl, they lost in the blue. Probably had something to do with playing at the Vet, with Reggie White, I would think.
Probably has something to do with it, I'm guessing.
This doesn't look good on me.
Now I'm like, wait, I might be speaking out of turn, but like the 60s throwbacks that everybody loves so much that they can now bring back because of the new helmet rule next year. Weren't those teams terrible? Like in the 60s, like they weren't good when they wore those. At least not as good as they became in subsequent years.
Didn't they got good like mid-60s?
Mid-60s.
Yeah,
about 65, 66 they started. I think Ice Bowl was 67.
But they were already moving. They had already moved on to the like more gray silver helmet by then.
You're right.
Yep,
you're right.
But
So
people love the throwback because it looks clean. I love it too. It's cool.
Good, yeah.
Just the players wearing the uniform matter, not what the uniform looks like.
At the end of the day, just give me a good-looking uniform, and whether you won it or lost in it, just give me a good-looking uniform.
All of the Cowboys uniforms look good. Like even I know the white doesn't match and all that, but it's this iconic like NFL films look.
Right, it looks good.
The blue looks good. The double star looks good. Like they all look good. I don't care what they wear. They all look good.
All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back on Friday, and we actually got a special guest for you guys on Friday. We're going to have one Darren Woodson that's going to be joining. I think maybe going to be joining us.
Hasn't called me back yet. We'll see.
Maybe going to be joining us. We'll see how that
goes. Make a movie about the guy.
Yeah, we got a documentary coming out this Saturday that's going to be really good about Darren and his life story. And so we want to get him on Friday, hopefully, to be able to talk a little bit about that and just get his opinions on this team, particularly the safety position, because for the first time in a long time, there are actually some people that maybe are worth talking about at the safety position. So we'll hopefully we'll talk to Darren on Friday about that. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?